Okay, this video is gonna talk about what happened when I tried scheduling my entire day, like minute for minute. It was pure structure, and the reason why I did that is because I was living 2 months no structure. It was pure chaos, zero order, and I tried seeing. No, I didn't try seeing. I couldn't keep going like that because school started, work. It was overwhelming. So I had to figure out this time management stuff. In the first couple weeks, the schedule that I made, like I'm talking, it was minute for minute. Like wake up, make breakfast, shower. I can't remember minute for minute, but I had no gaps. Maybe a 10-minute gap, and it was very productive at first, and I was getting everything done. Like I had set up time in the day for things that I wanted to do, needed to do, should be doing, could be doing. And it was cool. But I got burnt out. It wasn't sustainable. It was an absolute the picture perfect person for me. But that was me at 100%. And I started having days where I got sick, and I realized, okay, if I'm sick, it's not possible to do the schedule. Like, I was losing my immune system. So I mean, the bad part is it kind of catapulted me back to like apathy, just staying in bed, skipping waking up, skipping the alarms, you know. That was like a period of 2 or 3 weeks afterwards too. And I tried again. That's the thing. It was a process, and I was trying to make sure that I didn't change the process too quickly. You know, let it work out, and then at the very end, see how it goes. And that very end was the end of the semester, but that was 4 months away, and I probably got 2 months into the semester. I probably got halfway, and then I realized this was overkill. So I made changes. It's a schedule now that it grants me more freedom. My concern with that is I usually use the freedom for fun things instead of productive things, but that's something I need to work on. And it's okay. I mean, honestly, I was getting mad at myself because I'm like, this is how I was describing it. When I played tennis, the practice would be forehand, 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 forehand. You'd see that shot hundreds of times, and I'd always make it after practice, you know. And then you get to the game, and stamina starts decreasing. It's intense, you know, and you see the forehand and you hit it into the net, and the frustration happens because you remember making that shot hundreds of times, and you're like, why couldn't I just make it again? But yeah, it's that sustainability. No one has the stamina to keep 110% every second of their life for the rest of their life. You know, I was making it seem like I was going to do this forever. Maybe it was just a very high, a lot of high energy, like just like a manic period in my life where I was really happy that I was getting stuff done, and I just put a lot on my plate because I was in a state where I could do all that stuff. But in the end, you start seeing, looking back, like, yeah, I made progress on a lot of things, but if I had done one thing at a time, finished it to the end, maybe it would have been a little different. And I think I'm gonna try that approach next time. We're hitting summer break, which is gonna be pure freedom again. Chaos. We'll see how I handle that. I think that's why I'm making this video, to remind myself that while I like chaos and pure freedom, I do need structure, because when I have pure chaos and pure freedom, I can play soccer, I can play guitar, I can write, I can read, I could go hiking, I could just chill in just random spots, hang out with friends. And then after a week or two, you get tired, you're like, okay, this is it, I need something to work towards. And I think that structure kind of gives that. It's just this idea of having to force yourself to do it. I think that's where I kind of shut off. But just don't force yourself to do it, alright? You can tell that I'm new to this, because my awkwardness is showing. But for this one, I don't know, I'll make it a little bit more humorous. I walked here and I'm just around trees, you know, and plants and forests and stuff like that. And it reminded me of, I wanted to be a botanist, you know, I want to learn about all these plants. Mainly because I touched one that's poisonous, and my legs are kind of itchy now. So I want to be able to distinguish which ones are okay to touch and which ones aren't. I'm also an avid cloud aficionado, but I haven't done anything related to clouds. That's something I kind of want to start. I'm sure I'll make a video about clouds. And then something that happened yesterday that was really funny. I'm just kind of improvising right here. Something that happened that was really funny yesterday is I was at Taco Bell with Gia, and she ordered Sprite, and then they're like, okay, Sierra Mist, and she got 2 water cups, and we pull up to the window, and the other guy that was working, he's like, what sauces would you like? And then we're like, no sauces. It was funny because he didn't know, and then afterwards he's like, oh, that's why you guys were giving me funny looks. But that made me smile. What else? What else can I say? Yoga. Yoga is good. It's a thing that's very popular right now. But I want to give you some advice about it. Like, one third of yoga is trying not to fart, and you gotta. There's steps. I mean, don't eat heavy before. I've done that a couple times. I'm like, oh, I'll just eat this sandwich or pretzels, even pretzels, and it's not cool because then you can't really do the poses very well because you're tensing and moving around, and you're just trying not to fart. It's okay if you do. I mean, it's okay, but I just I think that's why sometimes I prefer doing it by myself. Okay. At one point, I'm looking at an ant, that's why. With some of my friends, we were talking about ants, and we learned online that they don't have brains. They just purely communicate with their antennas. They probably don't have ears either. I can't remember if that was true. But they're strange. They're very strange. I've never seen an ant farm. I know they exist, but no one has them over here. Okay. I'm waiting for the tomatoes to get thrown. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have anything planned, so I think we'll end it. For about 2 weeks, I was really into this idea of like people having dominant and recessive traits, and like when you meet someone, they can bring out a recessive trait out of you. And I was very curious about that because I met someone and she kind of like she brought out a lot of things that I like about myself, but I would consider them recessive, you know? I wouldn't say that's my primary state. So I was reading a lot about that, just like Mendel's pea plants and crossbreeding and just the basics, you know? up in like, we think we learned about that in 7th grade. And I was just trying to reread it again at 24 to see if my perspective kind of noticed anything I could take from just the fundamental information. I still don't know. I like the idea. I like what it sounds like, but then I kind of switched it up on me. At one point, I was feeding a horse, and I didn't know the fence was electric, and it shocked me. It was a jolt of electricity, adrenaline, a lot of adrenaline. It woke me up. I'm not complaining. It was okay. It's one of those things where like I wouldn't want to do it, but I'm glad it happened, you know? And the whole point of that is I started switching to electricity when I thought about that, and how people have maybe not necessarily dominant recessive traits, getting what is the word? Not displayed. I don't know. It'll come to me. But it's actually like when I meet someone, they're triggering, they're sparking like certain currents in my brain, you know, and those recessive genes or recessive traits were actually recessive currents, you know, that I don't normally tap into that much. So that was a different way. I'm still thinking about the word. What is the word? Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna give myself 10 seconds to try to figure this out. It's like phenotype, genotype, expressed. There you go. Which dominant or recessive gene is expressed? Okay, I was only gonna make one video, but we're just doing them. Like, might as well. Another thing that's been on my mind is I meet new people, and I say hi, nice to meet you, and stuff like that, and I forget that they don't know me. You know, that kind of sounds weird, but I went to a small school, so I knew everyone. Everyone knew me since kindergarten, pretty much. And I kind of went with that. Like, I knew that everyone knew me. And when I meet new people now, I forget that they didn't see me every single grade. They don't know what foods I like, what my hobbies are. Like, they're both of us, we're judging people on preconceived notions of who we think they are, past experiences, biases. And what I'm trying to say is I need to make sure that I come across how I want to come across to new people. And because first impressions are really important. You only get one first impression, as they say. Yeah, I mean, just remember, just be yourself when you meet someone. I'm wearing my Argentina jersey, so I'm gonna make a video about Argentina, the soccer team, the national team. That's been my life for a long time. I really like watching. Like, I grew up watching them. My family's from Argentina. It means a lot. Let's put it that way. It's a big part of my life. And you know, there was Messi. This is the 2014 World Cup. So since 2010, probably since 2011, every single day I would look something up online about, like, news. You know, news about the team. The players. I had complete confidence in the players. There was Higuaín, Di Maria, Agüero, Messi, and yeah, the defense in the media was portrayed as very subpar, but I had so much confidence in the front four, because they were scoring like crazy. They were playing a really good counterattack, almost like a 4-2-4. And what I'm trying to say now is, in life, anytime I had a problem, I'd be like, it's alright, because Argentina's going to win the World Cup in 2014. And every problem I had, it's alright, Argentina's going to win the World Cup. And that was a good 3 years. And the World Cup comes along, and their defense it's just incredible for me. Like, no one expected the defense to play that well, but the forwards weren't scoring as well, but they made it to the final. They made it to the final and lost in extra time, and I was so sad. I was so sad because I put all my happiness into the hands of something I couldn't control, and then they almost won, and they lost. So 4 years of saying they're gonna win, and like being hopeful about it, and freeing my life from concern, turned to 4 years of like, oh, they were so close. They almost won, one game away. Yeah, it was very painful. I didn't really express it too much, but I learned a valuable lesson, and that's don't put your happiness in something you can't control. And only you are responsible for your happiness. And it's, I mean, I've heard it before, but I never really digested it until that happened. And I'm not saying I'm great at making myself happy, but I don't like putting my happiness in the hands of something that's uncontrollable. So don't do that either. I'll save you the trouble. Is it on? Yeah. I'm studying business. I'm almost done with the business degree, but I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. That's being what's the word? That's being generous. I don't know. I went to my I transferred from like a junior college, and I transferred, and the day where you sign up for classes and like the orientation and stuff like that, I went in as psychology, and yeah, I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then the moment we start signing up, I hear that there's going to be a class where you have to do a group presentation, and that's not one of my strongest things, and it's not that I don't like public speaking or that I'm afraid of speaking in public, because I've done it in the past. It's just I don't like the idea of being a bad public speaker. But that's a side note. So I learned that there's going to be a group presentation that's like 20 minutes long. So I'm like, no. It's a show. I switched to business. And the irony is that business is all group presentations, like every class. That was very frustrating. I wish I hadn't done that. But the thing is, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And my junior college, for some reason, they push business if you don't know what you want to do. Looking back now, I wish there was some kind of class, or I don't think business was the right one, because you don't know your values, you don't know what you believe in, you don't know what you like, what you don't like. There has to be some kind of middle ground of finding some sense of like purpose before you go to school. So I wouldn't recommend going to college if you don't know what you want to do and hoping that you find it along the way. I mean, maybe you will. This is just my experience, but it's frustrating. And the reason why it's frustrating for me, you can see, is you kind of, to learn, the way I learn is I need to have the information and I need to anchor it back to something, a lens, you know? That's why I keep telling people, like, what lens do you see the world through? But I didn't have an anchor. So all the knowledge, all the data, all the information I was getting in business, I was just memorizing it, taking the test, and forgetting it, because I had nothing to attach it to, nothing to associate it with. That's why I am disappointed in my experience, because if I had known a goal or a purpose what all this information is leading to, I could have attributed any small information the teacher said, the book, anything, to that goal, in relationship to the goal, and it would have more meaning. But now it's just all, it's meaningless, you know, like, it's just, like I said, it's data, it's not knowledge, because there's no meaning attached to it. But it is what it is. There's other ways of learning. And it's not the end of the world. Like, take that experience, use what you can, and move on. Yeah, things will work out. Piece of advice for myself. Don't start something and not. So this one time, I ordered Krispy Kreme donuts through the drive-thru, and I was parked just in the adjacent parking lot, eating them in my truck. And this guy, older gentleman, no shirt, kind like 50-50. The kind of like, I don't think he was homeless, but there was a 50-50 chance he wasn't all there, kind of, you know. And he came up to my truck, and we chatted about a lot of things. Half of it seemed rational, half of it wasn't. But I just continued to talk to him because it was interesting, just passing the time. I got to the point where he said that the world was going to end in 90 days. And because of my name, he thought I was the new Messiah, and I had to tell everyone, you know, to pretty much be good for 90 days. And it's like, let me pray for you. I did, and then I mistakenly told him where I worked. Just, it was a haphazard. I just said it. I don't know. I wasn't thinking. And then I went about my day. It was a night. I went about my day the next day, and I was thinking about it, you know. I didn't believe it, but part of me did, you know. And this is parentheses. When people ask me if I'm religious or if I believe in aliens and other stuff, my new answer is I did at one point, and I really want to believe, but I don't believe that much anymore. Close parentheses. So I'm at a place, and I consider praying, and I'm about to pray, and I get a phone call, and it's someone from work, and they're like, this guy called, and he's like, he was looking for you. He called twice. He's like, should I leave a message? I'm like, no. Yeah, but it was funny. I was freaking out because I was new. I had probably started working there probably like 2 weeks, 3 weeks in. So I didn't know how they were gonna take it. But when I got there, I told them, I came clean of like the full story. They were okay with it, and they're like, oh, we can promote that the Messiah, the new Messiah, works here, and yeah, we had some laughs about it. And then I never saw that guy again. So I've been to this place. I've only been to it once, and it's a very like, it's a really cool like haunted maze. Like, it's supposed to scare you. It's one of those things, like, takes like 45 minutes. And it was Halloween time, and I went with my friends, and I was very reluctant because I don't like horror movies. I prefer comedy movies. I don't see the fun in intentionally trying to scare yourself, but I did it, and it's one of those, like, there's just pop-up scares, you know. And the whole theme was like an insane asylum, and this crazy like woman with a knife and stuff like that. She was trying to scare us, but I was still like in like psychology mode, so I'm like, what brought her into the asylum? Like, what triggered all this? Well, that quickly faded because I actually started getting scared. We had like 5 people in our group, and no one wanted to be the first one because the first one was really like, we didn't know when the jump scares were going to happen. So James's girlfriend, the only girl in the group, like, she led the way. I would say probably 70% of the time. Yeah, at one point towards the end, they were just jumping from out of everywhere, and I was just holding on. We were just holding on. I was holding on to the people behind me, in front of me. My eyes were closed. I didn't know what was happening. We were semi-running at this point, and this guy with a chainsaw starts chasing us, and we crash because we're all sprinting. And I don't know what happened. At one point, we fell. Some of us fell. I ran into a wall, and the last 15 seconds, I lost my shoe, and I sprinted out, and I got to the outside world, and my knee was bloody. I was missing the shoe, and I was like, all right, I have to go back in. So I went back in, and I'm like, guys, I'm just getting my shoe. But I was afraid that they were gonna try to scare me again. I got my shoe and went back outside and met up with everyone. And I mean, we were drenched in sweat. Like, it was intense. But it was it was fun.